Hello TAL 544, this is Oscar and this is my 21st century assignment video. Now when I was thinking about technologies that I would like to incorporate into my classroom, uh, I sort of thought about what I had used in school, which honestly was not high tech. But one thing that we did use, aside from the essential, in my opinion, essential videos, were these Jeopardy games. And these wouldn't be played like once a week or maybe not even once a month, but every sort of couple of chapters or every unit. I think this was sort of a fun reprieve from sort of just learning new information and a fun way to review the content that we had learned. It also can serve for teachers who maybe are not that much into formal assessments. This is a great way to informally assess your students. Now, the way this works is before you actually start playing, you should divide your class into groups. Depending on the size of the class, I would probably suggest anywhere from 3 to 5 groups. I say up to 5 because what happens sometimes with 3 groups, especially in classes of maybe 27 to 30, is that in each group you might end up with maybe 2 or 3 students who sort of know everything, know these questions back and forth, and are great students and straight A's and just know their stuff. And so sometimes I know this because I personally experienced this. We would sort of kind of take over the group because we want to win. Um, and that doesn't really help those students who might not be or might not know the information as well. And so you have to be careful with how you structure your groups um, and the size of them to make sure that no one sort of takes over. And so the way this works is either you can make this sort of template yourself or just find one because there's really some great ones. This one happens to be one that I really enjoyed and I thought was really successful in reviewing these 5 different categories. And so the way this happens is you set it into slideshow mode. You sort of load everything. You can dance to the music if you want. And so once the music sort of ends, you can press your different categories. You can always go in there and change your categories and change your questions and things like that. And so you sort of, with each group, you sort of select a team leader, and then they sort of, one by one, each group can select a different question. So let's say group 1 picks this question. As price of a product increases, quantity demanded of that product will blank. And so you give them some time to answer it. You go to the answer. You check what they wrote on their either whiteboards or their papers or whatever. Whiteboards are good because they can sort of just erase it and move on to the next question. And then you tally up their points, or you have another student who's not playing or who came in late to tally up their points. And you return to the screen by pressing on a little mini Alex Trebek there. And then you just keep going through all the questions. Then you end with Final Jeopardy, which is kind of like your hard question or your your critical thinking question. The most points, obviously. You'd probably want to give the most time. Oh, is this a little music here? No. Okay. And so once you finish that, you go back to Alex Trebek. You count all their points, and then you sort of look at how your students did. Did they do well? Did they do not so well? And if they didn't do well, you can sort of see what happened, what we can do to fix that, if we have to go back and maybe reteach some things. Or if everybody did really well, maybe talk to the groups individually and see if anybody did take over, just to make sure that that didn't happen. And if everybody sort of participated well and everybody did well, then you know that you did a good job. And you can sort of move on to the next chapter.